Or have to get a little sip. Okay, cue. Hi.
Hello.
Round three. This is going to be an interesting one today because it might be a very short one unless we go off on a bunch of tangents. But um, I had this idea, and I've got a clipboard here because we're going to sit and just write down. Um, I want to discuss all of the reasons why somebody would want to start working out on day one. Okay, we're talking like not necessarily never worked out again or before, but maybe. But I had this idea. I was talking to somebody, and I personally, and maybe you as well, we can go into that if we want to, but I've been very fortunate that ever since I was probably a teenager, I've always trained for something. I think there was a 2 year gap between Olympic weightlifting and this most recent half Ironman that I just really kind of trained for health. And so the other day I was sitting there and I'm like, okay, if I put myself in somebody's shoes and they wanted to start training in any capacity, even if it's just going for a walk every day, what would what would inspire or cause or encourage somebody to start being active or training? And so I was trying to put myself in other people's shoes, and I've had literally hundreds of probably different conversations of why somebody comes in and sits down to talk to me about the gym or whatever. And you probably have your reasons of why you started training. Of course, we're gonna talk about that. I don't want to get into it. But what we're not going to talk about is we're not going to talk about the benefits of exercise.
Okay.
So this is going to be it's going to be a fine line between sitting and trying to go through all of the benefits of working out, but we're going to try to put ourselves in the shoes of everyone, from somebody who's never worked out before to somebody who's an elite to why the heck would they want to train at all. So I got a piece of paper. This is probably going to be kind of a boring watch unless we go off on some tangents, but we're going to start and we're just going to rapid fire on the right, on the left. The why would we start? So I'm going to put why start question mark, and then we're gonna go on to another one here in a second. Okay. Obviously, I've asked a few clients this recently, and this could get really long. Um, I started because of sports. I was trying to improve, athletic performance, um, and that was required.
Hmm.
And I don't think I don't even though we had like a weight set in the garage for my brother. I don't think I really. Now my younger brother trained more than I did in the garage. I used to pick on him for it, but joke was on me when he outlifted me as a sophomore and I was a senior. Um, Athletic purposes for sports, and again, just name anything that you can think of.
Yeah, I don't know. Realistically, probably sports related. Like, I'd say I probably started about junior high ish to where, it started
So
to,
yours was sports too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, prior to that, didn't ever really work out.
Okay. So now, again, I'm not going to go into the benefits of exercise, but we've had people on a sub note. People want to be faster. They want to throw farther. You know, maybe they want to be more agile. Um, they want to have a more of a burst. Like there are literally you could probably take sport and break it into like I want to have more range on my 3 pointer. I remember doing tricep work. When somebody told me once in high school if I want to be able to have a greater range with my jump shot, I need to do more tricep work, which at the time I barely knew what it was. Um, you know, like golfing, obviously there's core for golf. Um, I mean, we could go down the sports one forever. Now, today, actually yesterday, I had a client, who just started with me. She's doing some one-on-one training, and hers was preventative health. Like meaning like, so I'm just going to put preventative health. And this one I probably see more and more lately after COVID is that for one reason or another, people want to be healthier, which obviously we would think that would be everybody to a degree, but I've had probably at least half, if not 2/3 of people that have come in have told me that there's some health component to it.
Yeah.
Whether it's preventative health or maybe they've experienced something.
Yeah.
Also, so like when I got into triathlon years ago, I saw a documentary. It wasn't even a documentary. It was NBC used to cover the Kona Ironman, and I watched. So I'm just gonna put saw something on TV. I'm not even joking. I was in a rut and I saw this Kona half Ironman coverage, and I don't remember. I think this was before texting, so
Okay.
how long it was. And I think I called my brother and said, "Hey, let's do a triathlon," and he told me where to shove it. And then like a month or two later, I think he watched it and was like, "Okay, let's do it." And then we started doing it.
That's fair.
So you saw something on TV. We could branch off on that. Saw it in a magazine.
Yeah.
Saw something in a magazine. Now that could be, I saw in this magazine that I can reduce my, health risk by exercising, or maybe, 10 new ways to grow your biceps. And you looked in the mirror
Classic.
and you're like, oh yeah, I could use some bigger biceps. Saw it in a magazine. Um, saw something on TV. Now we've got all kinds of like influencers. So, social media. So those are all kind of lumped into like you saw it and now you want to replicate it, or you want the result that they're telling you that you can get from it. So those are different ones. Of course, it could be you have peer pressure. I thought that was great. Peer pressure, and that could be from a friend. It could be from, a family member. It could be from a coach. You could start because some doctor said something to you, like they gave you a little bit of a scare. Like I guess that could be multiple different things. Peer pressure. Um, just if you think of anything, just say it, or I'm just going to keep going. Um, I had a whole bunch of these, and there's probably like 100. Friend, well, I guess that can be peer pressure. Like a friend wanted to, and then you decided you wanted to do it too. And again, maybe you saw something new, you signed up for a race or an event. I'm just gonna put signed up for something. And this is like I remember years ago, I had people that it was like everything from a color run. I've never done a 5K before, so my friend and I are going to do a color run. It could be, like again, a little bit larger. I had a couple people after this half Ironman express that they want to do a half Ironman, but
Sounds terrible.
I think you should do it.
Yeah.
We should count the number of steps though,
Yeah.
because that'd be fun. What else?
Well, the fun run made me think that I did my first walking 5K in college sheerly for extra credit,
Okay, extra credit.
because that was for a very tough physical testing.
Would you believe that the first time I ever ran more than a mile in a week that wasn't like football conditioning was for a class in college called Fitness Walk and Running?
Makes sense.
And it was literally day one, we ran a mile, and then it was like every day you could either run or use the cardio that they had. And so I ended up running circles around the campus, or say class. Yeah, PE, like some of those things, like somebody might get started in PE. Let's think of adults. Okay, so you're an adult, you're between 40 to 60. What are the other reasons that somebody would want to train? Oh, big one is like they want to learn how to do things right. Maybe they've always been interested, but and that's something we're going to go over here in a minute. But they want to do how things or learn how to do things correctly. Maybe a relative or somebody had a health scare. Maybe they had a personal health scare, or somebody close to them had a health scare. I had somebody recently who's got a friend whose husband is in their 60s and has had multiple heart attacks, recently. And that's kind of put a little bit of a spark in everybody.
Catalyst.
Maybe you have some type of you're recovering from an accident or injury. So I'm going to put recovery from like rehab. Maybe you had an accident or an injury you're recovering from. So I mean, we could keep going on this, but basically it's everything from preventative health to recovery health. Oh, we didn't even put the most obvious. Want to look better.
Vanity.
You want to look better. You want to lose fat. lose fat, you want to gain muscle. I don't know how we missed those. Of course, the advertisements. I'm going to go off on a tangent here in a second. It's probably going to get me in trouble, but um, the advertisements for like look better naked.
Oh, yeah.
Like that was a big thing, like in the
What was
early
that?
2000s.
Is that one of those
I think it was.
hydroxycat
I
things
think
or
it was a
something?
supplement. Um,
Turns out it's medical grade amphetamines.
yeah, yeah. No, so when I lived in Colorado, this would have been in 2005 or six. There was a gym in Denver, and I don't remember the name of the gym. Their slogan was "No fatties allowed." Okay, now they caught all kinds of hell,
So,
obviously, for that, but their argument was that they weren't referring to how large a person was.
okay.
Their argument was that that was just a person that doesn't prioritize training and nutrition. But of course, their ads were all these like completely over the top jacked guys and girls. They were clearly trying to send a message, but what they got was they got a ton of press.
Yeah.
And they probably attracted a bunch of those super vain, superficial people
Yeah.
that would go and train at this gym. But they actually tried to make themselves look better by saying we're not actually referring to the size of a person, more of the how much you care about taking care of yourself. I always thought it was just the most absolutely ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
But you would see these commercials, and it blew my mind that this was a thing. Now today that would never work because it would never even a commercial wouldn't even hit the air.
Yeah.
But in like 2004 or 5 or 6 or whenever it was,
A little bit
it
more.
was blunt.
Yeah.
And it was clear the message they were trying to send, but they tried to beat around the legal bush,
Yeah.
and it was it was not
Plan.
good. But yeah, so that was a whole other thing. But which again, I used to see those. I used to see those, and I would literally
Cringe.
I was only 20, I think 25 at the time, and I was a new trainer, and I barely had any clients, and
Yeah.
I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But they claimed that they were turning people away because they were so busy. That shows probably the type of potential client that were in that area at the time. I think they opened like 5 stores. I wish I remembered the name of it. I'd put them on blast. But okay, so we've covered a lot of those things. So there's you want to look better, lose fat, gain muscle. Those kind of all go with it.
Yeah.
Some type of physical change. You want to recover from something. Maybe you or somebody you know has had a health scare. You want to you know what you want to do, but you don't really know how to do it. So maybe you hire a personal trainer or something like that. PE, extra. So we've kind of covered a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Now, this one is why would somebody not want to work out? So, given all we know about the benefits of, and I'm not even going to say like strength training, just the benefits of being active, living an active lifestyle, walking, they always say 10,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
Um, taking the long way, and like there's so many like strength training, cardio, whatever it is, like living an active lifestyle, playing sports, whatever.
Well, like the first one that comes to me is it's just across the board. It's intimidating.
Intimidating, absolutely.
In any facet to like take the leap, so to say.
Yeah. So, and that could be anything. It could be like picking up a new sport.
Yeah.
And showing up and trying to play pickleball for the first time when grandma's going to run circles around you.
Yeah.
Like for real. So intimidating. We get that a lot in the gym. Like the idea of training around other people, not knowing which again leads me to another one is why not is because I don't know what the heck I'm doing.
Yeah.
They don't know. So don't know, and that could be don't know how many reps for any given goal, don't know how much weight to put on a bar or a machine. They don't know technique, range of motion. Like there's so many don't knows.
Yeah.
And without getting too much into like the programming side of things, but for most people, like even doing a little bit in a moderate intensity, regardless of what you're doing, is probably going to give you benefits for 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
Until you start to plateau. They don't know. Scared of injury, which is a big one.
Yeah.
I went down. I think in one of my blogs, maybe I didn't even finish it. I put the average injury per like 1,000
Oh, yeah.
and like running is like the highest. Weight training is one of the lowest.
Yeah.
Soccer is up there, like but actually like strength training and Olympic lifting were some of the lowest injury per thousand. It was like 1.1 or point
Hmm.
something like that, whereas running was like 93 or something per thousand.
Yeah.
It was like 10 times more likely to get injured running. Scared of injury. Why not? Time consuming. Maybe they don't have the time. So many
Time's a big
people are
one.
busy, And again, it was beaten in our head for so long that you need to have an hour.
Yeah.
Like you need to train for an hour. Like there's some magic number. Well, if you're brand new to training, 15 to 20 minutes, light warm up, 10 minutes, maybe a cool down. You might not even need a cool down.
Yeah.
But then 6 months later, that might have to be 30 minutes. Or if you were doing 2 days a week, it might need to be 3 days a week. But time is a massive one because, you got kids, you got other things, it's before work, it's after work, it's at your lunch break, time, is a big one or lack of it. Um, what else? You mentioned intimidating. Intimidating really is a lot of, I think
Yeah,
that
that's
encompasses
kind
a
of
lot
an
of
umbrella.
things,
Yeah.
because that could be fear, it could be anxiety, all those, don't know, scared of injury, time, um, proximity.
Yeah.
I would, I would have never believed it, but when we were up north, I had a number of people tell me it was too far away.
Yeah.
And in New York, you can really get about anywhere in 5 minutes, but for many, that 5 minutes, again, time,
Yeah.
you know,
Circles back.
yeah, it's that proximity because there are people that like even in bigger cities, they'll choose a gym that maybe they don't like because it's 5 minutes away
Yeah.
versus one that's 20 minutes away
That's
that
tough.
might have all of the, or maybe it's got better trainers or whatever.
Yeah.
Proximity is one. Um, Maybe you don't know anybody. Like again, that goes with the intimidating a little
Yeah.
bit, but you don't know anybody. Maybe you had a previous experience that wasn't good.
Yeah.
Um, and that could be in any gym or it could be with a trainer, you know.
Back even to like high school. Like
Oh yeah.
didn't enjoy PE in high school and wrote it off.
I had a recently, or maybe you're burnt out.
Yeah.
I had somebody recently that played college sports and was so burnt out from training and practice that I think it was probably 6 or 7 years since this person competed, and they put on like 40 or 50 pounds since then. But you go from, again, we talked about this before, probably 90 minutes to 3 hours a day of training and practice. Well, you don't change your eating probably.
Yeah.
Your lifestyle changes and you're not doing as much. Now, burnout could also not be athletes. It might be, you've done a program for a while, um, and you weren't seeing the results you wanted to, or maybe the results had plateaued
Yeah.
and you weren't interested in it anymore. And that's another one. Like maybe you want something new, and it's not offered. We're going to say want. So I'm scribbling now. You want something new. What else?
Combination of cursive and
Oh yeah, this is how I write.
plain hand.
I'm not quite like, you know, how sometimes you see like doctors that it's like a cliche
Yeah.
that you can't read a prescription.
3 scribbles. What is that?
What else? Anything else? Um, for now, previous, don't know anybody, or maybe somebody quit. Maybe somebody that you worked out with, a friend or a family member, that you trained with. I've had that happen in the past where somebody came with like a friend or a family member, and that person stopped coming in, and then that level of accountability was gone. And they didn't have that person saying, "Hey, I'll meet you at the gym," at whatever time.
Yeah.
So,
Like an obvious one is just lack of interest in it.
oh
Like,
yeah, how did we miss that? Motivation.
yeah.
I'm gonna put those two together. Like, yeah, yeah, I have no interest, no motivation to do it. Like,
Yeah.
why? I was talking to somebody yesterday. Why would you want to go and like make yourself feel uncomfortable? To get the most out of it, you got to be at least somewhat uncomfortable. And even
Yeah.
on the days you don't necessarily like it, you're going to show up and you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Um, unless you had a reason, which goes back to this side. Like I always say, one of the reasons like I even continued to work out as much as I did in between was, one, I own a business that I need to stay relatively good shape.
Yeah.
But two, that way, when I did have something that motivated me, I wasn't so far gone.
Yeah.
Now, I chose the complete opposite of what I'd been doing, so it didn't really work out in my favor.
Yeah.
But had I been doing more conditioning, I think I would have been in a great spot, to transition better. Interest, motivation. What else? Again, go back to like saw something on TV. Part of the reason like we never affiliated with CrossFit was I had a former coach of CrossFit Lincoln, who I respected. I asked him one day, I said, hey, I'm starting this gym in York, you know, can you tell me about like this affiliation process? And he loved CrossFit, but he's like, don't affiliate because especially starting out, like it was like $3 grand a year. And he goes, you don't get anything from CrossFit other than to get to call it a CrossFit.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, and I probably have 50% of the people that come in that don't want to train because they've seen something online that maybe doesn't appeal to them in terms of CrossFit. Like our gym was never really like a shirts off, running around kind of gym.
Yeah.
Obviously, on a really hot day that might change, but I was training at gyms where it was like before the warm up even started, shirts were coming off,
Just tarps
and
off.
it was even like I don't like taking my shirt off, period,
Yeah.
but I was uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and so like that would and here's another one, just uncomfortable
Yeah.
with the people around you. But so maybe you saw something online that
Yeah.
discouraged you.
Yeah.
You saw an injury video of somebody doing a deadlift, and now you never want to deadlift again.
You love those.
I do like those. Well, I don't like them, but I like to dissect what went wrong.
Yeah.
Like if you watch somebody doing a round and back deadlift and they blow their back out, you can say, okay, yeah, kind of saw that coming. Now every once in a while you get one like that bench one the other day where the coach that was critiquing it was like, oh, this is a flawless, and I saw his elbows turn out, and so it's like, yeah, that's probably why your pec blew because your elbow tweaked and
Yeah.
and you took all the stress off your pec and put it on your delt. Um, saw something online or on TV that discouraged you. Um, here's one. Maybe you have somebody that you know that preaches it, and it turns you
Mm.
the other way. I had
Gotcha.
a conversation with somebody recently where they were talking about somebody that they know was kind of like, it was kind of like this. Hey, I think you could benefit from this. Speaking to them personally, and what she told me was all it made her want to do was not do that, and in fact do the opposite.
Yeah.
And this person is very close to them.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe almost like a little reverse psychology. Rather than it taking something as motivating, you take it as discouraging,
Mm-hmm.
which that can happen. I think I see like influencers online where, oh God, that's another thing. I don't know which. Well, to me, it's like this. I saw a great thing. A doctor that I really respect was talking about not putting bananas in your smoothies because of some polyphenol. I sent you that video, and I'm like, it's a fruit. You're making a smoothie. Like if you're worried about an enzyme that may or may not be in this fruit and how you might have a 0.01%, again, I'm not going to get into specifics of it, but this whole like, if you're not doing it the optimized way, you're not doing it right. I cannot stand that.
Yeah, it's wild.
I'm going to call it the optimization.
Or nothing.
Optimizing. There's a word I'm looking for. We're going to call optimize. I'm going to scribble. Optimize fatigue. Years ago, I had a client of mine who's, good guy. I really liked him. He had messaged me about how we've been doing lunges wrong the whole time, and I was like, I mean, my legs are pretty sore when I get done with lunges. I don't know about you. And he had seen a video where the guy was talking about, staying really tall. And I don't remember this. This could be wrong, but there was some variation of it. And he was explaining how you've been doing these things all wrong. Well, the context was way off. He was talking about hitting your quads better.
Yeah.
And so maintaining a front rack position with a more upright torso, you have less glute stretch, so you're going to get more quads.
Yeah.
But if you're doing more of like an exaggerated lunge or a chest forward lunge and you're stretching your glutes more, you're going to get more glutes.
Yeah.
Most of my clients don't need to min max. Now, if you're a bodybuilder and you need you got critiqued on your quads,
Yeah.
yes, go nuts or do some split squats or something.
So I feel like if you asked 100 people their stance on lunges and whether or not they feel front or back or sides, they're just say lunges
Yeah,
in general.
all of it, all of the above.
Yeah.
I think I do feel, obviously, if I do a front rack lunge, I'm going to feel it more in my quads.
Yeah.
Just because you have to stay more upright.
Yeah.
You can't. But if I'm doing like kettlebell lunges, I have a tendency to lean forward and keep my weight over my foot.
Yeah.
So that's a whole other thing. Optimization fatigue.
Yeah.
I'm so over, and I could go into a massive tangent on this, but I'm so over like the adding protein to everything, and you've been doing curls all wrong your whole life. If you don't do these ab exercises, I'm so over that.
You're missing out.
Again, even if that's true, you're speaking to like the 1 to 2% of the people that have gotten to that point where they need that absolute min maxing.
Yeah.
Like when you were competing and you had to, increase your squat, you had to be very specific to put even 5 pounds on a squat in a year. Your training had to be almost unflawed,
Yeah.
unflawed, I don't know, infallible. Is that even the right word? I don't know. There's a word for it.
Words are tough.
Okay. So the take from this, and is we have a list of both. We got, and again, we could probably make more on both sides if we sat here and did it, but most people fall within one of these, I'm sure. It's too intimidating to start. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm scared of getting injured, or maybe, like I was injured in the past and I don't want to do it again. That's another one. Don't want to do it again. I mentioned that with the starting over, starting again.
Oh, yeah.
I had somebody once tell me like they were rocking it for like 2 or 3 years and then got out of the routine. And I think her words were like, I know how hard it was the first time. I don't want to do it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that honestly, that's like for me, like even doing like our red versions of the workouts, I'll probably never do them. And it's not because I don't like them. It's just my desire and my training does not reflect that level of intensity, and other people it does. For me, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So don't want to do it again. And that could go back with burnout too.
Yeah.
So again, we've got everything from time and proximity, convenience, being burnt out, you want something new. Like there are so many different ones, but if we wanted to sit here and make this another 30 minutes, we could probably take each one of these and connect them with a starting point.
Yeah.
Like if we said, somebody had a bad previous experience, well, getting a friend involved somewhere on here, I'm going to connect it.
Yeah.
That could help you. Or maybe you hire a personal trainer and now you get over that.
Yeah.
We've talked about teaching people that have chronic pain how to move properly and their pain goes away.
Yeah.
It's like we're not doctors or PTs and we can't diagnose anything. But if you clearly move poorly and we help you with that, it's possible it might get better.
Yeah.
But again, we can't diagnose anything.
No.
Because we're not,
But we had
doctors
a number of
or
those
whatnot.
instances.
Yeah. Shoulders, hips, lower back.
Shoulders,
I've had more people probably cure lower back pain from increasing their glute strength than trying to work on their core.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times it's you automatically think you need to improve your core, but if they can already do a 2-minute plank, it's not their core.
Yeah.
But they can't do 5 lunges without having to hold on to something. So ultimately, what I wanted to get out of this was, if we put ourselves in the shoes of any one of these people, if it was somebody who wants to start for any one of these reasons, or maybe, they've got a reason not to train. If I was to just put a blanket over it and say, obviously the importance of being active is to prevent injury, right? Which we've talked about that. Now, it's not going to prevent everything. If you do something wrong, there's always a chance. But some of those smaller things, like I had a guy tell me just the other day, he's been training with me for like 6 months. Every year during this time of year, he works on a farm. There's like a lot of like physical labor that he has to do. And he goes, it took me like a quarter of the strength. I remember years ago, I used to train a former doctor here in town. And one day on Friday, he goes, well, I won't see you until, probably Tuesday or Wednesday because I got to get the lake ready. And that's working on the dock and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in my office, and here he walks in at 8 a.m. on Monday. And I'm like, oh, I thought you weren't going to be here. He goes, turns out when you can do it all in one day, because he didn't get tired. He took a couple breaks to have a Coke, I think. But he goes, he ended up doing it all in like one day or maybe 2 sessions that normally would have taken him all weekend and then some. And then he needed 2 days to recover. So he had worked hard enough. And I remember his wife even asked me one time, we were doing leg presses, I think, and she asked me like, when are you going to stop putting weight on there? I'm like, well, why? Like if he continues to progress and he's hitting the numbers that we want every 2 to 3 weeks, we're able to put weight on the bar because we were adding reps and stuff.
Yeah.
Very safe range. And so yeah, he was just continually improving. But ultimately, like we know the benefits of working out, and we know that we could take each one of these and explain in detail like the physiological benefit or the changes that you're going to make.
Mm.
But the reality is like if you don't have some reason to get started, it is harder. It is harder to just go through the motions and check the boxes as we call it without having a reason to. Now, even within this range here, there may be reasons that will change frequently. Like you might join the gym because you saw something on TV and then realize you want to get a pull up.
Yeah.
You know, there's why start. I have a goal. There you go. That's that one. You know, you want to get your first pull up. Well, now it's all shifted. I had a client one time told me she only wanted to lift, and at the time we didn't have another option, which you know we're going back to that. But I told her you have to do at least 2 months of our group before I'm comfortable, and she just crushed it. Now she's been one of my most successful clients I've ever had.
Yeah.
So ultimately, like we know how important it is. It's just what are the obstacles that are getting either in our way or holding us back from doing it. And I think the reasons for can also be considered an obstacle in some way because it's like I want to start because I saw these things, but I have these reasons why not to. Ultimately, the best thing you can do is just like pick the low hanging fruit. You know, if starting means going for a 10-minute walk 3 days a week and then that turns into 20 or it turns into like that's ultimately where it starts.
Yeah.
Even though your goal like might be to do a pull up, well, realistically, that might be 5 years down the road.
Yeah.
There's a lot of steps in that process, right? So I don't know. I mean, this is something again. I just really wanted to mostly go down and just verbalize this and kind of see. Like, I don't want to necessarily go through in detail each one, but any other final points on this? Like any words of wisdom?
Not really. No. I mean, yeah, it's, we've often said, for us here anyways, like the hardest part for anyone, like ourselves included, some days is just coming into the door.
Yeah.
You know, especially for our clients, like once you get through the door, everything else from there is kind of downhill in a sense. Of you know, just got to take that first step sometimes.
Yeah.
If you want to take that first step.
Well, and I think I'm finishing up just a short blog right now, and one of the things I say in there is like, oftentimes in our gym, if a client gets through the first 2 weeks, then they'll make it a month.
Mm-hmm.
If they make it through a month, then they're probably going to make it through about 3 to 6 months. But
Yeah.
oftentimes, that first like 2 to 4 weeks of getting started is so crucial. And we see it a lot in our gym where people will come in and they'll get through their one-on-ones or their intro or whatever, and then something gets in the way. Maybe it's work, maybe it's the time, something, and then we just either never see them again or it takes a while for them to get back.
Yeah.
But it's like any habit. I mean, there's going to be some compromises that you have to make, and ultimately, it still comes down to like, okay, well, what if my goal is a really extreme goal, then there's going to be extreme things that you may have to do to get that goal.
Yeah.
Like if you want to hit 12% body fat and you're 25, that's different than if I just want to feel better and learn more about food.
Yeah.
Right. So otherwise, yeah. So this is really more of a rant. Probably not a lot to take and work with on this other than just reflecting on what it is that's either making me work out or giving me the interest to work out. What am I, reflecting on? Well, why is it do I show up in the gym every day? Or every other day or once a week, whatever it is, like what are the reasons? Or if you're not training right now, or maybe you're in a break in between, what are the reasons I'm not? Reflecting on that and saying, well, what are the reasons I'm not? And if I was to start tomorrow, why would I do it?
Yeah.
That's really all I think I was getting out of this. But otherwise, all right, episode 3. Until next week.